What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the Hasan broadcast coming to you live from sunny California, Los Angeles, folks. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. Today's a wonderful day. Today is Haley Stevens' engagement day. Congratulations to Haley Stevens.
What gives?
That's right. Haley Stevens just got officially engaged. I'm very excited for her. I'm very happy for her. Queen, girly, living La Vida Loca, living her best life. Is she marrying Israel? No.
Israel comes to me in my dreams.
No. And does she invite you? Yes, I will be attending. I'm the lucky gal. I will be a bridesmaid for Haley Stevens. Not for Cutie Cinderella, but finally a bridesmaid. Always a bridesmaid, never the bride. This guy, Richard Yeselson, editorial board at Dissent Mag, says, yup, a lot of people are going nuts about Piker. A leftist shock jock would at least ponder why this remark by a liberal Zionist Jewish scholar said with calm regret. Piker is saying the same thing, but sounds triumphant and smug about it. He's a bad messenger. This is someone talking about Dove Waxman, who works for Nexus Project, who also yelled at me, by the way, ironically enough. Nexus Project is a liberal Zionist institution that is supposed to actually be tasked. It's almost like a more serious ADL. They care about anti-Semitism. They're not as bad as the ADL is. They're not as like overtly far right as the ADL is. They don't specifically care about defending Israel, right? They do actually want to combat anti-Semitism. Obviously, there's still issues in their coverage, but Dove wrote this thoughtful piece basically agreeing with a lot of what I had to say. People said, oh, this is a good thread. The fact that hatred of Israel can cause hatred of Jews and that Jews are being attacked because they're associated with Israel does not mean that Jews deserve to be hated or targeted because of this association, but it's not victim blaming the note that people make this association at least partly because the Jewish state itself and major Jewish groups outside of Israel continually emphasize the connection between Jews and Israel and between Judaism and Zionism. There's two things that are taking place here that I think a lot of people don't even recognize. There is a hidden bias here that is simply put, Hasan can't say those things because he's saying it Islamically. And the other bias is only Jewish people can speak about these issues. There's a level of underlying Jewish exceptionalism and a level of underlying and not so subtle Islamophobia. And it's crazy because, once again, Matt Yglesias feels no shame revealing this position. How is this a liberal universalist value, a liberal universalist humanist approach? Matt Yglesias responds to Richard Yeselson with, yes, people respond. People respond differently. People respond very differently, he's trying to say, to an idea when it's expressed by Jewish people who they believe are motivated by sincere concern for Jewish welfare than when it's expressed by people who they believe are not so motivated. This argument quite literally is, Hasan can't be concerned with Jewish welfare sincerely for some weird reason. I can't? I haven't done enough work in this field? This is the exact same reason why, no matter how much Zoran aggressively, as a matter of fact, engages in this posture where he just like shows himself to be not only like careful about anti-Semitism, which is of course supposed to be the case, you're the mayor, but goes above and beyond. And people still turn around and say he is a rapacious Jew hater. And the same goes for Abdul. Because if your name is Zohran Kwame Mamdani, if your name is Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed, if your name is Hasan Piker, okay, which is not even like that Muslim sounding, from my estimates at least, then you cannot sincerely be concerned with the rise of anti-Semitism. This is Islamophobia. This assessment is, simply put, Islamophobic. I said pure racism from the egg. Of course, someone named Hasan could never sincerely care about Jewish welfare. Only Jews can say this about Jewish safety. Vulgar ethno-religious tribalism. Not very liberal, my guy. Not very liberal at all. Why do you call him the egg, Matt Yglesias? Because he's bald and he looks like an egg. So yeah, this is pure racism through and through. And of course, it's the type of racism, well, most racism is unacknowledged, especially by parties that are repeating it and believe it, right? But this is also the type of racism that also is not only not discouraged, but it's persuasive. There's plenty permission in institutions that otherwise would be careful about racism. Islamophobia is allowed in mainstream discourse. It's welcomed in mainstream discourse. This is why Matt Yglesias Iglesias can get away with saying stuff like this while simultaneously calling himself a liberal, a centrist liberal who cares about humanitarian values, a pluralistic liberal democracy that is diverse, right? What kind of defense is this from Tim Miller? Let's see what Tim Miller had to say about this.
One thing that he's doing is stating clearly that he's committed to Jewish safety and he opposes anti-Semitism in all its forms and he loves his Jewish brothers and sisters. Are we getting the same thing from the other side? Are we getting a statement this clear from Mike Rogers about the bigoted attacks against Muslims? I have not seen that. I think that it is important that that we have a standard here that is equal on both sides. And I don't feel like that is happening. And I feel like every time Abdul al-Sayed goes anywhere, he has to answer for whatever anti-Israel or anti-Semitic or borderline anti-Semitic or imaginarily anti-Semitic statement that some supporter of his said. And Mike Rogers just gets to walk around carte blanche having, his fucking goons like smearing private citizens because they have Muslim names.
This is a good take, by the way, and I do agree. Like, there is a Republican operation right now that we've obviously covered a little bit where they just go, anyone and everyone with a Muslim-sounding name that has ever been in proximity of Abdul al-Sayed, regardless of their status as a school teacher or a college professor, doesn't matter. As private citizens, they're getting blasted on the timeline. It's actually unbelievable. I'm not a private citizen, right? I'm a public figure, so it's understandable that they will attack me. But they're like, this is Abdul's school teacher from 5th grade, and he said Israel is bad. We need to dox this person right now. Abdul needs to address this person right now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So I don't think it's okay. And I think that over the last couple months of this campaign, it's important that there be equal treatment here. Because getting back to Alicia and what's up next, Mike Rogers knows he doesn't have a good economic story to tell. And so he's going to keep engaging in this trash and in this hypocritical BS in order to try to make the campaign about something else. And I don't think it's going to work. But it's got to be pushed back on, or else it might.
Yeah. I'm glad that Tim Miller is, regardless of like my criticisms of Bulwark, I'm glad that Tim Miller at least like understands what must be done. I know the bar is very low, especially considering that there are lifelong Democrat operatives like Neera Tanden who are far more vicious about Abdul and far more aggressive in their attacks against Abdul than Tim Miller is here. He's right. He is correctly identifying the issue here. I asked Abdul al-Sayed about the criticism he's gotten from Dana Nessel and Hillary Scholten in recent days. Says he's had convos with some in the party. I think the question right now is how do we get together to beat Donald Trump? As that there are a few people who are still nursing wounds or grievances from the primary. I get it, losing is hard. I've lost before, but I hope that they take notes from Congresswoman Stevens. Hasan Piker's a streamer in California. You would think if you turned any media out that this whole campaign is about a streamer in California. That's not what this campaign has ever been about. Yeah, exactly. Here's the other side of the story as well, right? Like, obviously, not only am I a streamer from California, I obviously have a lot of fans in Michigan as well, many of which are very excited about Abdul al-Sayed. But here's the problem. We, on our side, are willing to let bygones be bygones when it comes to seeking out the endorsements and keeping quiet about some figures that have said horrifying things in an effort to be as pragmatic as possible and to defeat the scourge of Trumpism in this country and to make necessary changes in American politics. And yet we are expected to constantly say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we won the primary. I'm so sorry that our candidates are winning. I'm so sorry. What can we do? What can we do for you? And that frustrates me to no end. It's like, I'm not running around shitting on Haley Stevens. I'm not running around shitting on Elisa Slotkin. I'm not running around shitting on these centrist Democrats who have not placed the interests of the majority in their commentary, in their legislative agenda for far too long, especially as it pertains to the issue of Israel. And yet, these guys expect fealty. This should be a moment of grace. This should be a moment where if you are a Michigan politician, if you're a Michigan Democrat, this should be your moment to say, look, we have our disagreements, but of course I'm going to support you unconditionally because that's what this is about. That's what building a broad anti-Trump movement is supposed to be about. And some have been able to pass this low hurdle, this low bar. Some have been able to clear it, but many have not. This is a far too consequential moment to carry out petty factional infighting. Do you think this will draw condemnation? Democrats against Jared Moskowitz. Welcome to our new account. We are concerned Democrats in Florida 25 who cannot in good conscience vote for genocide ever again. We believe we have one chance to change the Democratic Party with what little power we have, and that is to ensure Jared Moskowitz loses this November. That's so funny. I wonder if people will cover this sincerely and talk about how wonderful of a change of pace this is, how Jared Moskowitz has a lot to work for here to unite the base. No, of course not. Democratic leadership plans to hand Middle East policy to a congressman who described himself last year as to the right of J.D. Vance on the Iran war and more in line with Lindsey Graham on the matter.
What I would like to see actually is a little tougher language coming out of the Trump administration. I'm to the right of this issue to the J.D. Vance Witkoff approach, and I agree, quite frankly, more with Senator Lindsey Graham and probably Senator Tom Cotton. Iran is the weakest they've been in a period of time. Now is not the time to appease them. Now is the time to put maximum pressure on them and make sure that we dismantle the nuclear program. I'm not saying we should start bombing the facility, but I'm saying all options should be on the table, right? That
these centrists are signaling they will not uphold the law. Yeah, here's Moskowitz once again being asked by Prem Talker of Zateo, as long as you're an ally of ours, I'm not conditioning weapons to Israel.
And on specific conditioning offensive, where do you stand on that? On conditioning it on the basis of Israel following international law, offensive.
Yeah, I've been very consistent. I'm not for conditioning military aid to our allies, okay, which is why I've always supported
regardless of international law.
Which is why I've always supported aid to Ukraine and other things of that nature. So, I'm not changing my position on that.
Regardless of international law.
Well, they're a U.S. ally. So long as you're a U.S. ally.
So the law doesn't apply?
What's that?
Does the law not apply to allies?
Well, our law applies, but as long as they're an ally of ours, I'm not for conditioning weapons to Israel.
Existing U.S. law already conditions military aid, but here's the incoming lead Democrat on a key foreign policy committee saying ahead of time that he will simply refuse to uphold the law. This is the guy we expect to do oversight on Trump's law breaking. I'll be honest with you, dude. Let's just say I won't be sad if Moskowitz isn't a winnable seat, especially after this committee assignment. I don't really care if people yell at me over this, but I want Democrats to actually fight back against Trump, especially when it comes to our foreign policy. And if the Democratic Party is moving people like this who have openly stated that they are pro Trump's Iran agenda, if he loses, it's already a very conservative district. I'm not going to be all that sad. Luckily, we have plenty of other Democrats in plenty of other districts to win that House majority, so it doesn't fall on Jared Moskowitz. But this is collaborator shit, and he's openly saying that he is going to collaborate with the Trump administration on this key issue. What are we doing? At that point, you're basically saying, I'm basically a Republican, but on a Democratic committee. If the Democrats win the majority and we win power, I'm going to do the bidding of the Republican Party. That is irredeemable. That to me is completely unacceptable. That's so ridiculous, especially when we're talking about a 90-10 issue, man. It's unfucking bearable. We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel. We'll honor his name. We are Charlie Kirk. His courage on. Together unbroken. We'll make heaven known.